В предишния епизод на Камифуда. По коридорите отново срещнах Куизъл. Този път очаквано умът му не изглеждаше толкова бистър. Изплювайки няколко зловещи фрази, той ме предизвика на дуел, който успях да взема и да се спася в крайна сметка. След това се срещнах с Викс, която се държеше доста студено и видно ме отбягваше. Вследствие на добре изпълнените ми маймунджалъци, тя ми проговори, но изглежда, че това по-скоро развали отношенията между нас. А аз просто исках другарче за Камифуда. Добре, време е да продължим с следващия дуел. Another day, another training session. I wait patiently for a somewhat late tutor in the early evening as I look over my desk. Victory after victory and a few chance encounters with the shopkeeper have built me something formidable. Though more importantly my spell control grows. If only that would extend to my unwitting time shenanigans. I am in the thick of ruminating ideas. I might try to test my time retracing abilities when the door creaks open. Vix stands in the doorway, a dark-haired siren in the gloom. She closes the door behind her silently and makes no eye contact as she crosses the room. Hey. Sorry, I thought maybe Loon or Evie would be out this time around. It's fine. Alright. But my stomach is frothing pot of anxiety. I find myself instinctively crossing my arms over my chest. The whole club room feels cold and impossibly awkward. I hate this. I've got some questions about Eldermancy actually. Well, something adjacent anyway. I'd rather just get to the duel if that's fine. Sure, we can do that. The two of us head into the adjoining room in complete silence. And without another word, we begin. Уф. Тази мадмуазела тотално в тишина. Чуя се дали мога да преборя Елдърманси с Елдърманси. Evil Eye за десолета. Мисля, че това е подходяща стратегия. Елдърманси и Сакроманси. Девет инхибит е чудесно. Сега в момента просто не мога да си изиграя магиите. След това ще изгубя малко и ще хвърля две още. Gain 8 Reserve, добре. Разбирам какво се случва. 100 целия инхибит ще е много зле. Виксай! Just do, please. Човек, как да игра с целият този инхибит? То това е неиграемо просто. Това е неиграемо просто. Как да надмогна целият този инхибит, човек? Това е брутално. Каталайз инхибит. Навсякъде. Трябва да рискувам. Инхибит 9. Ще ги оставя да минат. Брутално. Ах, ако бях сложил Blood Ritual, както си мислех, ще трябва да стане 20. Шър. Двадесет 29, нещо си. Не мисля, че мога да бия на този етап. -1. Те ритуалите ми трябваше да минат, аз не знаех, че няма да минат така. Както да е. Имам шанс някакъв. I feel the eldritch heat rising in my blood. The temporal fires ignite and I'm pulled minutes back to my face my opponent again, нали? I click my tongue. Another failed attempt to resist. Ето това тесте може би с една добавка. Би го взел. Дейхо Дивалър е чудесен. Обаче е така да видим. Интересни ритуали обаче са много трудни за игра. Чудесно. Още първи ход ме наказва здраво. Gain one influence също така. Хайде да видим. Брутален демидж. Но пък сложих много добри магии. Инфлуенс и така нататък. Сега от някъде ще се появи с магия, която да ми счупи нещо. Catalyze 8. Няма как да се появи вече. Би трябвало да имаме голям шанс този път. Въпреки силния каталайз, който ще има. И въпреки този тежък инхибит. Йъп, това беше опасението ми. Това е спасението ми пък. Ой. Би трябвало да се справим сега. Аз съм първи. Чудесно е да почне с 9 инхибит. Perishable. Чудесно. Едно демидж е окей. Инхибит. Yes! Хайде. Окей. Много интересно, ама при мен тия карти въобще не са толкова силни. Плеймата. Добре. Де ще го ползвам. Another win for Tarot, well done. I try to think of something to say, but honestly, any and everything seems like it would just make things worse between us. Fucking hell, maybe I really did make the wrong decision here. Well, if you are not up for another duel, I do have a couple of questions about Eldermancy. I know that it's the Eldritch school which aligns closest with the powers of the Pact Master. In that respect, I'm wondering if proficiency in the school means better control over, I guess, Pact specific abilities or spells, or... It depends. Some Pactsworn who try Eldermancy simply go insane. Some do well and gain some autonomy over their relationship with Pact Masters. In both cases, there are usually extenuating circumstances. Would you be willing to go over those in more detail? I'm sorry, I've got a thing. Vic packs her cards and leaves in less than 20 or so seconds. She doesn't even bother to close the door behind her, and I find my heart hurts in reply, more than I expected, in fact. If only things could go back to normal. I snort in response to my words. If only I could change the past, says the boy who unwittingly travels through time. But the last thing I need is another chance for Ihram or the Pale Host to find me out. And I have to believe that whatever he had can still be fixed. With just a little more time. Окей, нека видим какво ни очаква сега. Карти може би? Карти, само 2 карти, окей. Това е някакво голямо, може би е голяма карта. Айде да видим, Сакроманси. Нещо ново. Сякаш. Сакроманси отново. Имам я, но не е толкова зле. Много парички взех за карти, така че нека да пробвам нещо. Пиромантията всъщност е доста добра. Gain 3 Catalyze. Ако е блокиран. Не е зле, между другото. Mana Ritual, double your energy. Бой, това е брутално. Аз съм от хората, които прекалено много ценят явно енергията, но да. Това също е много яко. Sanctification Rites, Gain Divinity Q. Не е зле, но съм сигурен, че е най-моето нещо. 6 Catalyzation звучи брутално. Fire Nova, не съм сигурен, че искам да се размятам с 2 карти с по 3. Но айде да я вземем. Това е страхотна карта. По принцип. Това също е чудесно. Search. Но ще взема следващия път. Бекинг Ломрод. Окей, нека да имам в библиотеката. If you wanted to meet at the library, you could have just said so. I'm here every day, Tarot. I lead Evie through the shifting corridors of Glomrod's veritable paradise of ancient tomes. It is early afternoon. The rain in Glomrod has not ceased for some time, and so precludes a day indoors among the dull scent of parchment. But that's hardly why I knocked on Evie's door. Yeah, have I mentioned you should just look into moving your bed somewhere between all these shelves? Might make living here a bit easier. Though I'm glad you have to sleep sometime. It was hard enough to find a good window for all my prep work these last few days. What do you mean? I pull her gently by her sleeve to a row of shelves currently in the process of shifting. My days spent in preparations here for this very moment clued me into little intricacies about the library I would never have noticed otherwise. Namely the bookshelves. Movement is far from random. In fact, it's scheduled, perhaps even ordained. I count to 7 in my head. When I'm certain of the shelf's current position, I lead Evie into a small alcove, lit in glittering lamplight. Here the shelves tower, reaching nearly to the library's ceiling. The subtle clicks and thrums of the facility's movement are dampened here, muted by thick barriers of parchment and wood. In the center of the alcove, a table with a small stack of books, only 4 or so high, waits for our arrival. Atop it, a cylindrical device topped with a ruby red crystal sits. What is all this? Call it surprise. You ever heard of an Imagi projector? Oh, I've always wanted to try one of those. My father sometimes uses them for conferences. He syncs them to texts he's giving lectures on, and the device projects a visceral animation of the contents in real time. Call this a house surprise then. I take a seat and wait for Evie to follow suit. After all, you've been very forthcoming in sharing all your favorite stories with me. I figure out it's about time I reciprocate. I pat the books between us. Though I'm far from the greatest storyteller in comparison to you, so I sought a little help from our local feline librarian. Turns out he had one of these sitting in storage. You are going to channel a story through the image projector for me? Doesn't that take a lot of practice? I may have spent a few days trying this out in my room. Oh. So, which book strikes your fancy? She takes but a moment to look over the titles I'd left for her. It wasn't exactly the easiest thing finding a book I'd already read. I'd already read in this cryptic old library, but I'm not unhappy with my selection. Oh, you are saying you want to make a request? She nods handily. Sure, I guess. Though if it's a story I don't know well, then I'm likely screwed. Controlling this eldritch projector is hard enough. But Evie doesn't name a new title. No, instead, she points a finger at my chest. You. Me? You. Did you know sometimes you mumble when we are chatting? Little things that you probably don't think anyone else hears. I do? You mumbled once under your breath that there was a story behind the meaning of your name. I want to hear that one. I want to see it through the imagi. Really? That's what you want to use it on? She nods, firm. You sure? That's a whole collection of Greek myths in the pile. There's a whole collection with Greek myths in the pile. Are you seriously telling me you don't want to see Prometheus bestow mankind with fire in real time? Or Orpheus descend into the underworld? The tragedy of Medusa? The wit of Odysseus? She shakes her head. No, I want your story. I let out an exasperated sigh. At the very least, it's a tale I know well. Very well. I touch my thumb to a small crystal at the base of the magic projector. I close my eyes and press in just a pinch of eldritch energy. And a pinch more of some dear old ghosts, trapped and tangled in the cobwebs of my heart. The magic thrums. From the ruby at the top of the device, a floor of glittering purple, like dusk and starlight, materializes and expands. It makes for me a simple stage to set my would-be play. I guess if I were to find a good place to start, it would be with a woman called Vadoma, and her first child, a large boy with hair blacker than black and eyes like emerald waters. As I speak, the magic works. It projects the fine silhouettes of a woman resting in bed beneath thick sheets. A newborn babe is cradled in her arms, and a deck of cards sits at her beside the table. It was tradition, or so she claimed, to name children based on a reading of tarot cards, one moon after their birth. So in the dead of the night, as her husband slept on a thin couch just outside, she cradled her firstborn and began a reading by the lamplight. The figures move atop the imagi. The woman draws gold little rectangles, her favorite deck, and places a number of cards out over a cloth in her lap. And with each consecutive card, the gentle starlight surrounding her and her child blooms, until the cards themselves shine like little suns on her tarot cloth. And the woman kisses the newborn on the forehead, having seen the cards foretell, in her view, a life of strength. A life long-lived, well-lived. One worthy of a fine place in the otherwise cruel world. And for this reading she named the boy Merit. For that is what merit would bring to their house and to her, the deeds and distinction worthy of a firstborn son, Many years later, however, she and her husband bore a second child, another boy. The scene shifts. Folk gathers at the command of a tempest. And this time the woman's complexion was not pink but pale, not joyous but weak. She glistens with droplets of red sweat. Cradles the second son in a weak grip, lit only by the agitating flicker of a fluorescent hospital light above. Her second son came after a hard birth, one, so she told, she nearly did not survive. Even so, she kept to tradition, and a moon after his birth, she called once again upon the cards, shuffled them gently and purposefully as she asked the spirits, what kind of life will this child lead? Candlesticks rise from the dusk surface of the vision, silver yet rusted. They float about her bedside, twinkling gently, casting her face in the shadow of flickering candlelights. It is said that as she drew the first card, a candle at her bedside flared with a torrent of fire. A pillar so brightly furious that it rose to the very ceiling above and consumed the room's foundation in a squall of hellfire. The ruby atop the imagery projector screeches. The painted vision it portrays grows like the inferno within. I watch as the woman panics. She cradles her newborn in a light blanket, runs from the bed as a pair of new figures rush into the room, pulling her to safety. All the while her cards sit haphazardly on the abandoned bedside. The sheets burn, the bed burns, the room itself is swallowed by the majesty of fire, and then the image flashes wide, flashes forward, I think in time, to a charred but safe haven, the fire firmly vanquished. The fire was put out before anyone was hurt, and the following day, when the mother and her second son has rested, she returned to collect what effects she could. While the fire had not spread to any other rooms, it seemed most of her space had burned before the flames could be quelled. All except strangely young Vadoma's tarot cards. The woman enters a waste of ember and char with her baby. In a room grayed to ash, 78 cards sit unscathed upon a bed otherwise burned to black. They sit laid out in a perfect grid, waiting face up, as if in response to her reading. She took this strange tragedy as the boy's reading. A child who would live in the scope of every possibility, for good or ill. I wave my hand, pulling my power from the projector. The image falls. Sorry, probably not the most intriguing story considering... Tarot, you said your family was packless, didn't you? That's right. Something wrong? No. No, probably not. Just overthinking this. Well, that's kind of your specialty, Evie. I chuckle. She can be so shy sometimes. And so furious too. I'm not sure I've ever met anyone quite like her before. Tarot, may I ask you a question? Of course, Evie. What is it? What do you think you'll do? You know, after... After? After you graduate from Glomrod. Oh. To be honest, I haven't given it very much thought. These last few weeks, the only thing on my mind has been some combination of this is so insane, I think I'm going to die here, or my favorite, what the hell happened to Trent? Evie nods solemnly. The curiosity in her eyes dims just a shade. And even before all Pax One nonsense, I'm not sure I really knew what I wanted out of life. I was told many times what I should want. But in some strange way, I think it's only since I came here that I've had any time to or space to actually think what my opinion on my future might be. Which is, I don't know, very new, to be honest. I feel the same way. Minus the thing I'm going to die part, I guess. We both let out a small chuckle. The pair of us are silent for an awkward beat, further caught by introspection. Evie rises from her seat and moves to one of the bookshelves nearby. She traces her fingers over the spine of a bright blue book. She mouths the title silently, and I notice that her lips are slightly chapped and very plush, pink and parted. There is a slight flush to her face, easily highlighted against pallid cheeks. And in that frame she looks more than anything I've seen in this place like she belongs. Winsome and divine, amongst ink and paper and thorough-aged wood. When she looks back my way, there is a determination to her demeanor, and the faintest touch of dismay. I want to be a teacher. As in school teacher for kids? She nods fiercely, по-скоро. My dad won't approve. But I think after this semester I'm going to tell him anyway. I leave my seat, cross the room to meet her. Pursue a romance with Evie. You know, I've always had a thing for teachers. Oh, maybe something about them sitting behind the desk. You find desks attractive? No, but I find someone aggressively throwing me onto a desk attractive. I bet there's a desk around here somewhere. I realize we are very, very close. Faces, but a nose apart. The heat of Evie's breath tickles my chin. My cheeks are warm. No, they are hot. And the only reason I've just noticed is because I'm keenly distracted by the fierce drumming of my heart. And the red of her lips, her sweet-looking lips. Come on, Tarot, it's now or never. I gulp through a frog in my throat. You know, I'm not sure I want to wait for some elusive piece of furniture. Do you? She shakes her head ever so slightly. Our eyes meet. I cup her timid face gently into one hand and tilt her chin up toward mine. She whispers my name. A shot of euphoria swells through my temples. Her lips are soft, slightly chapped but warm against my own, and my heart is pounding a million beats a minute. And I'm sure that in life itself that my hand trembles as I hold her, but she leans into the kiss, and truly, I know in the pits of my soul that all is right in the world. For this moment at least, I'm nothing I have ever been. I'm only a boy, warm and wanted, with her and no one else. We part from our kiss. The pair of us are breathless. Between us is a fierce heat, tense and sharp. And despite how I feel for a second, I doubt. I worry that I'm not all that she wants me to be. And then Evie grabs me forcefully by the collar, spins us around, and shoves me hard against the bookshelf at my back. I let out a little moan as she pushes her lips roughly against my own. And grips me tight in her embrace. Okay. Fair enough. Вау! Доста карти. Сега първо да видим какво ще взема от нови карти, окей. Добре, тегляне на карти не е зле. Нека видим следващото. То ще бъде... Ох, мамка му. Добре, това не е зле. Ако си спомням правилно. Добре, до следващия епизод тогава.